Now we'll switch to the selling side of the market. So this will be the supply side. So this will be firms or companies selling a particular product or service to individual consumers or a market as a whole. And so we call this the supply side, and we need to build up an individual firm's supply curve that's going to tell us how many units will they want to sell at each and every price. So we'll do the gasoline example again. In this case, the firm will be British Petroleum, or BP, and we'll build up BP's supply curve that will tell us how many gallons of gasoline BP would like to sell to the market at each and every price. And then later on, we'll talk about shifters of the supply curve and talk about that technical language at the very end. The example we'll go through to build an individual firm supply curve will be British Petroleum. This is going to be a petroleum company that's going to pump oil out of the ground and turn it into gasoline and sell gasoline. And so in this example, we want to know how much gasoline is BP willing to supply at each individual price. And that will be the firm's supply curve. Just like for demand, we will have an axis here. On the y-axis, this is going to be price. And then for this example, it would be dollars per gallon. And on the x-axis, we'll have quantity. And so this will be quantity of gas supplied per week in terms of millions of gallons. And from this, we want to ask BP at a price of $1, what quantity do you want to sell? At a price of $2, what quantity do you want to sell? At a price of $3, what quantity do you want to sell? And so on. And if we do that, we make a table and collect all that data, and we can plot all these points. And so we have here 5 points. So at $1, BP is going to want to sell 10 million gallons. At $2, BP will sell 15 million gallons. At $3, BP will sell 20 million gallons, and so on. And so imagine we did this for every single price, not just 5, and we can connect those dots like so. And this would be the individual firm's supply curve. Okay. And we can read this in 2 separate ways. First, we can take a given price. At a price of $4, we would come over to the supply curve, come down to quantity, and that would tell us how much that the firm wants to sell. 25 million gallons of gas per week. We could also go in the opposite direction. What's the price, what's the minimum price to convince BP to sell 20 million gallons of gasoline per week? And so you start from a quantity, go up to the height of that supply curve, and then come on over, and you'll get, it has to be $3. So to get BP to sell 20 million gallons a week, the price has to be at least $3. What we'll see here in a little bit in more detail as the supply curve is going to be equal to minimum willingness to sell. Okay, and so we can think about at the marginal gallon, the height of the supply curve tells us what is that minimum dollar amount, the minimum price that we need to convince that firm to sell that unit. Other things to notice about this, it's upward sloping. Right. And so upward sloping here means as price goes up, quantity goes up. And this kind of makes sense, right? If each item brings a higher price, then selling more should bring more profit. Therefore, we have these individual supply curves will always be upward sloping for us. And since they're always upward sloping, we're going to call that the law of supply. This is where supply curves are upward sloping because the higher the price, the higher the quantity supplied. So what you can think of this is if price goes up, then quantity goes up. If price goes down, then quantity goes down. So they're moving in the same direction. This is the opposite of demand, where price and quantity move in opposite directions.